Hey, this is Joe from Census. Census lets you activate the data in your cloud data warehouse to 200 business applications. Sigma brings world-class cloud-native analytics on top of your warehouse in a familiar spreadsheet interface. Today, I'll walk you through a new integration that lets you combine the power of both tools. We'll start in Sigma. I have a dashboard called User Dashboard where I have some data about users of my content sharing app. This is a workbook element, looks a bit like a spreadsheet, and our new integration enables you to sync workbook elements from Sigma through Census. Let's take a look. The first thing that we need to do is set up the integration. To do that, come to the administration area in Sigma. Under the Account tab, make note of your cloud provider for your Sigma instance. Ours is AWS. Then I'm going to jump over to API and embed secrets and create a new API token. I'll give it a name. I'll assign myself as the owner, and then I'll click Create, which will give me the client ID and secret. I've copied my client ID and secret into a secure location, at which point we're ready to set up the Census integration. Within Census, I'll navigate to Models, to Sigma Workbooks, and click Connect Sigma. I'll choose the appropriate cloud provider, and I'll paste in my client ID and secret. And from there, I'll click Connect. Within a few moments, I see a list of the Sigma workbook elements that I can use as census models to sync my data. I'll go to Users, and I can see that this element contains a user ID, email, first and last name, and a product plan. I think I'll sync this to Braze. Users is already chosen as my source. I'll choose my connection as a Braze users object. I'll choose user ID to uniquely identify each record, and then add the other properties from my element to the properties in the sync mapping. And in just a few moments, I have the data that I modeled in Sigma being synced to Braze. In less than 1 minute, my 202 users are in my Braze destination, ready to be activated. But let's do something even cooler. So I don't want to mess this dashboard up for anyone else, so I'm going to use the Save As feature and just make it Joe's version and save it in my documents. I immediately go to the editing interface, and I'm not trying to build a dashboard actually, so I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of a few of these elements. Now I have my users and my app events, but actually I need to join those together. So I'll click on users, go down to users and click join. I want to join my app events. I'm going to do a left outer join on the user ID, and that's so I'll keep every user whether or not they have app events. I'll click preview output, and Sigma shows me that I'm joining these two tables to produce the output. And then when I go back to the Explorer, I can see that I now have the app event data within the same element as my users. But I don't want to stop there. This is where Sigma gets really cool. At this point, I'm going to duplicate this element, and I'm going to name one signups in last 14 days. From there, I'm going to filter on the event name and just keep signup. I'm going to filter on the timestamp just to keep the last 14 days. So there's all my signups in the last 14 days. Now what I want to do is down here, I'll say try to paid feature, where I'm going to go over to the paid feature attribute of my event stream, and I'm going to filter that for true. So these are all the events that are related to trying a paid feature within my app. The last thing I want to do is switch the product plan here, filter for free, and then I'll use Sigma's really cool lookup feature, add column via lookup. I'm going to look up something from try to paid feature. I'm going to add the column paid feature. I'm going to look up based on the user ID, and I can see then I have 30% matches. When I do that, then I've got paid feature here. Don't need this version of that anymore. And now I've got 46 rows, a list of users who signed up, who are on the free plan. They signed up in the last 14 days and they tried a paid feature. Now this is what I want to sync to Braze to build a cohort. Jump back over to Census. I'll go to my models, refresh. Now I can see that my new workbook element, signups in last 14 days, is now available to be used in Census as a model. So I'm going to build a sync off of this, again to Braze, but this time I'm going to sync to the user and cohort object. So this way we're going to update our user data and put those users into the appropriate cohorts in one sync. I'm going to create a cohort called new signups, 14 days, tried paid feature. All right, and I'm going to set this so that when a record is removed from the source data, we remove the record from the matching record in the cohort. So what that means is, since Sigma is always sitting on top of your data warehouse, and every time you refresh that dashboard, it pulls the data fresh, that 14 days filter and the other filters that we applied are going to be applied every time you sync this data. So in that way, we'll keep a fresh cohort that's always applicable of the people that signed up in the last 14 days and tried a paid feature without having to touch it again. I'm going to go ahead and automatically generate these mappings, and we'll go ahead and move forward. So there we go. In just a few minutes, we've identified our new signups within 14 days who are on the free plan and tried a paid feature. We're now ready to reach them with a highly targeted message and drive them to become a conversion. I'd love to know what you think about this new Sigma integration. Come check us out at getcensus.com.